it is vital for me to speak out. This conception of a king who's unjust raised a major debate in Islamic theology and political theory. What was the debate? The debate when Rasulullah brought the message of Islam was what? If there's a king who says La ilaha illallah and he says Muhammad Rasulullah, what is the attitude of a Muslim towards that king? As in, this became a debate in Islamic political theory, that if I'm a Muslim and I'm living in a Muslim land and there's a king who publicly professes La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, but he's a drunkard, he's a man of alcohol, he's a man who you could see of adultery, a man within the world of the musicians, a man who oppresses children, an innocent woman, this king, because he says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, should I remain silent or should I speak out? Three different groups emerged on this issue. The first group were a group by the name of the Murji'ah. The Murji'ah were an Islamic theological political group. The Murji'ah came forward and said that even if a king drinks in front of me or commits zina in front of me, only Allah knows what's in his heart. Habibi, what are you talking about, what's in his heart? The guy is drinking right in front of me. As in, what more do I have to see? The guy in front of me is an alcoholic. The guy in front of me is committing adultery. He said, no. You can't. Because you don't know, maybe he has a pure heart. When he's drinking, he's doing it for pure reasons. MashaAllah. But that's unfortunate, as in that was the first political theological theory in Islam. And this theory, the kings used to love it, isn't it? As in this theory is a dream ticket for a king. Imagine now I'm a king, in front of the people, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. When I want to commit zina, I commit zina. When I want to drink, I drink. And I've got a group of puppets sitting next to me saying, but we don't know what's in his heart. Even today in our Muslim communities, you have people saying, Sayyid Ammar, I don't fast and I don't pray, but I have a good heart. What will happen to me on the day of judgment? On the day of judgment, Allah will take your heart, he'll put it in Jannah, and everything else he'll put in Jahannam, isn't it? As in, he'll put that heart in Jannah. He says, heart, you stay here in Jannah, it's good for you here. Everything else move. You find this was a ridiculous theory. A theory which was what? It was simply a theory to suspend judgment on certain big personalities. There's certain things I can't say on the minbar. I'm sure you understand. But all I need you to understand is that such theories were developed to suspend judgment on the character of certain personalities. Certain people who were publicly drunkards, publicly committing adultery, publicly sitting around with monkeys and musicians, you would have their puppet scholars being paid to say, we are the Murji'ah. We suspend judgment on a king because only Allah knows what's in his heart. That was the first group. Then there was a second group. What did they say? They said, yes, we can see the king is a Muslim and we can see he's committing bad acts, but we don't want to get involved in this issue. Say, what do you mean you don't want to get involved in this issue? Say, to tell you the truth, we're living comfortable lifestyles and we're happy that at home we pray and we fast, and let's say we come to the mosque on Fridays. You're telling me to speak out against the king? I don't want me to have a bad reputation. I want to live comfortably. I've got children, I've got a future. I want to see my daughter married and I want to see my son graduate. Don't come and tell me that I have to come and speak out against the king. That second group of Muslims in early Islam, they said, even if a king is corrupt, in your heart you should say, Ya Allah, I disagree with him. But in your actions you don't need to get involved. Why? Because if Allah puts him in power, that means Allah knows better than us. Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, of all his great books, he had some classic works. Durr al-Manthur, Al-Itqan, Tarikh al-Khulafa, for example, Tafsir al-Jalalain, which he had with Jalaluddin al-Mahalli. Of his great books, he had a book called what? He had a book called Tadrib al-Rawi. Tadrib al-Rawi was looking at the narrators of hadith traditions. Within Tadrib al-Rawi, he has a chapter on a group of narrators, he says, are the people of Taqa'ud. Taqa'ud in English means the people of retirement, those who've retired. Suyuti says there are certain famous figures in Islamic history who retired from the Islamic political scene because they didn't want to get involved in speaking out against injustice. Who does he list? The first of them who he lists, Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, the father of Umar ibn Sa'ad. You know Umar ibn Sa'ad, leader of the armed forces? He says the first of the people of Taqa'ud was Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. What do we mean people of Taqa'ud? People of Taqa'ud are this second group. They see Muawiyah bin Abi Sufyan sitting on the throne of the Muslims, barbarically treating the Muslims. They stay quiet. You say to them, why do you stay quiet? Why don't you raise a mutiny against this man? Can't you see the corruption? They say, well, we don't really want to take sides on this issue. As in this Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, the one time he took a side was when Muawiyah said to him, and this hadith isn't just in our books, brothers. This hadith is in the books of our brothers. Muawiyah says to Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, why don't you curse Ali ibn Abi Talib? I tell you, sometimes, I don't know, this history we have, sometimes, honestly, I don't know, what is the scales which you use to look at this history? Amir Muawiyah fought Amir Ali. MashaAllah. Amir Muawiyah fought Amir Ali. Said to him, why don't you curse Ali ibn Abi Talib, Sa'ad? Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas said, I will never curse Ali ibn Abi Talib because of three things. Number one, on the day of Mubahala, the Quran said Ali is the nafs of Rasulullah, is the self of Muhammad. Number two, when we went to the battle of Tabuk, Rasulullah said Ali is to me like Aaron was to Musa. Number three, on the day of Khaybar, every companion wanted that banner. And we were all thinking, who's Rasulullah going to give it to? And Rasulullah said, tomorrow I'll give the banner to a man who Allah and me love, and he loves me and Allah. When he enters a battlefield, he only returns with success. Said all of us were waiting to see which one of us was it, and he gave it to Ali. You found this Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. Do you think that he stood up after this to support Ali ibn Abi Talib against that corrupt king? No, on the contrary. Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, Suyuti says, was of those who retired. They performed retirement. They said, you know what, we can see the king is corrupt, but we remain quiet. It's better for us to keep our mouth shut. We'll read our salah, we'll read our fasts, and that's it. Another of these Taqa'ud people was who? Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab. Umar ibn al-Khattab had a son called Abdullah. This Abdullah bin Umar saw Yazid bin Muawiyah sit on the pulpit of Rasulullah as a drunkard, as a womanizer. People said, Abdullah bin Umar, your father was a Khalifa. Aren't you meant to stand up? He said, at the end of the day, I don't want to cause friction. I don't want to cause disruption. I don't want to cause disunity. You found Suyuti, what does he say? Suyuti says that Abdullah bin Umar, like Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, was of the people of Taqa'ud. These were people who decided what? A king may be corrupt, but it's not our job to interfere. Our job is to pray our salah, to fast our fasts, and then on the day of judgment, Allah will judge that king, and he'll judge us as well. And that's why, when did this religion begin to break apart? This religion began to break apart when what happened? When the Muslims who were of the early days, instead of speaking out against the corruption of the kings, they remained silent. And that's why I tell you, the third school which emerged, what was it? The school of Al-Muhammad. That when you see a corrupt king, irrespective of whether publicly he says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, it's your role to speak out against that corruption. I tell you, you think Abu Dharr al-Ghafari and Hujr bin Adi al-Kindi, Amr bin Hamaq al-Khuza'i, Rushayd al-Hajari, do you think people like this lost their lives for any reason except that they spoke out against the king of their time? Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, when Uthman did not want him in Medina, kicked him out. He said, get out, Muawiyah, you look after this person. He doesn't close his mouth. a follower of Al Muhammad is an Abu Dhar in his political standpoint. When he sees a corrupt king, he doesn't remain silent. Abu Dhar outside the palace of Muawiyah every day. Those who hoard the gold and the silver, Surah 9 verse 34. Those who hoard the gold and the silver. Those who hoard the gold and the silver. Those who hoard the gold and the silver. Until Muawiyah wrote to Uthman, he said, take this man back, he causes me a headache. Uthman took him back until eventually they made Abu Dhar die in the worst way possible. They made him die alone in the desert with no one to protect him. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari, who Rasulullah used to say, in taqwa, he is the equal of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. And Abu Dhar ends up dying. But dying in which cause? When he saw a corrupt king, he didn't take the position of the Murji'ah, nor the position of the people of Taqa'ud. He took the position that we within this school, when we see injustice, we speak out.